Yes, welcome to our engineering webinar. I'm Watani, and I'm just going to ask you a few questions about like studying, placements,
Mhm.
and then after graduation, like what are your plans, that type of
Yeah.
thing.
Mhm.
Yeah, so if you could introduce yourself and then what course you're doing and which university you're studying at.
Yeah. So my name is Olebogeng Dipholo. I'm studying at the University of Manchester. My degree is M.Eng Mechatronics Engineering with a year in industry. I've just finished my year in industry last week, so I will be going into my third year.
Okay, good. And then are you graduating after that or?
Now I'm going back for 2 more years. So
Oh, 2 more years. Okay.
yeah,
Okay.
because it's an M.Eng degree, we do it for 5 years.
Okay. Okay.
Yeah.
So like let's go back to high school. What subjects did you do and why did you pick engineering?
Yeah, so for my A levels, I just did sciences and maths because that's what I've always just been drawn to because of the problem solving. I've always been a fan of physics and mathematics, and just solving problems. And engineering allows me to do that. And I went into mechatronics engineering specifically because I felt it has the variety that I need to be able to solve problems in different modules. That makes sense.
Yeah, that makes sense, yeah.
Yeah.
And like what do you enjoy the most about your course and what's challenging about engineering?
Um, yeah, like I said, the variety in the course because it's a multidisciplinary course. Mechatronics involves it's partly electrical engineering, partly electronics engineering, partly
Mm,
mechanical engineering. So just
mm,
enjoy the variety of being able to explore different parts of engineering. Like I get to spend some time doing mathematics modules, spend some time doing some programming modules, and also some time doing some computer aided design modules as well. So just that variety, that's what I enjoy the most about the course. But in terms of the challenging part of the course, I would say having to adapt to new things in a short period of time
mm.
because a semester is on average around 3 to 4 months. And that's all the time that you have to pick up a new module, learn all the software, all the tools that you need to do, and then write an exam on that. So I think the fast paced nature of engineering, where you only have 3 months, learn everything, and then be able to move on to the next one. So that's
Yeah.
that's been the most challenging part.
Yeah, that's fair. That sounds hectic. Um, so when did you start applying for internships and placements?
So I started applying for my internships in second year, beginning of my second year, which was in 2023, so around September 2023.
Okay. And what platforms or tools did you use to find your placement?
Um, so the University of Manchester, they have an internal department, a career service department. So I used that because you sort of sign up to the career service portal, and then every day they send out vacancies, daily vacancies, weekly vacancies, monthly vacancies. So yeah, so that's one of the platforms that I was using to look for placements. I also used things like GradCracker, Rate My Placement, and Bright Network. The Bright Network is the one which I actually found the placement that I was on.
Okay,
In
which
yeah,
company did you work for?
Worcester Bosch.
What's the
The
boss?
it's a heating company in the UK. It's located in Worcester.
Okay. And what did
Yeah.
you have on your CV or your cover letter that made you stand out?
Um. Well, for the specific for Worcester Bosch, I didn't do a cover letter. Just used my CV. So in my CV, I just included all the relevant experience, trying to make it as recent as possible. I was trying not to include. Well, I did have to include some things from like high school, but I
Mm.
tried as much as possible to keep it up to date, include any job shadowing I did. So I put all the projects I did in university and also outside of the lecture room, outside of university, all the societies I was in. Um, And also, I also put in my online certifications because I did some virtual internships. So I also put those
Mm.
into the CV and extracurricular activities as well, just so they have an idea of who I am outside of the lecture room.
Okay. So
Yeah.
what advice would you give for somebody who doesn't really have much on their CV? Like, where should they start looking for opportunities that make them relevant to what they want to apply for?
I would say virtual internships. If you can't find an actual internship for you to
Yeah.
build experience, go online, sign up for virtual internships, try to build that portfolio, build your experience that's relevant to whatever field you want to go into, whatever industry you want to go into, and try to also include extracurricular activities because I feel like those are also equally important as your technical skills. So just
Mm.
let them let them know that there's someone aside from you being in a classroom because the good grades will get you somewhere, but they they're not always enough. You need to show them why you stand out. And so I would say that would be a good place to start to say, look for things outside of class, try to do those things, add them to your CV. And if you can't find any internships, just do online internships. Yeah.
Okay. And what type of soft skills are important for your specific industry? Like communication, teamwork, or
Um,
independent working?
yeah. So I would say teamwork because, for example, in the placement that I just finished, a lot of it involved doing projects with other people from other departments. So it's in the soft skills that were relevant there were communication skills, team working skills, and some presentation skills as well. Because whenever you do a project, at the end of it all, there needs to be some sort of report or presentation that goes back. You can't just spend 3 months working on something without having to report back on that. So you need to
Mm.
be able to know how to communicate information, feed it back to other people, and you need to be able to work with people you've never seen or never worked with before because it's not always team working within a department. Like I said, it may be interdepartmental, so they need to be able to see that you're able to work in a team and you're able to just get on with people on a day-to-day basis. Just good interpersonal skills, really.
Okay, that makes sense. And what mistakes do you think somebody who's applying for an internship or a placement should avoid?
Don't make the CV too long.
Okay.
Just try to be straight to the point. Put all the important stuff, but just don't make your CV too long because people who go through the CVs, I think
Mm.
just keep it between 1 and 2 pages. If you can, just make it 1.5. If you
Okay.
have that many things to put, just don't make the CV too long, and also don't make a one CV fits all situation. Don't make it too general. Don't make one
Mm.
CV and then use it to apply to 10 different roles. Make each CV to be tailored to be specific to a role. So if you're applying for something that related to, say, the heating industry, try to fit in things that are related to that. But next time when you're applying for a job that's more related to software things, trying to include things that you have done that are
Mm.
more related to that. So I think the mistake that I at the start, I also made this mistake of trying to use one CV and then the feedback I was getting, I was like, maybe I need to change things up a bit just to make it specific for each role that I apply for.
Okay, yeah, that's valid.
Yeah.
And so what was the process of applying? What did the process of applying look like for you? So you said you started in September, and then
Yeah.
when did you get a response from the employer? Do you have to do any like online interviews or tests and that type of thing?
Yeah, I mean, I applied to many companies, but just take you through the journey of the one that I
Mm.
actually got at the end. Um, this one I applied for it, I believe, in November because I had started in September to apply for the others, but this specific one, I think I applied for it in November. That was the first stage of just putting in my CV and then answering the questions on the online platform of uh, who I am, what I'm doing, whether I have the right to actually work in the UK. And then I think they got back to me in December, just before the holidays, and they actually rejected me at the start. They said,
Oh,
we are unable to continue with this application because we are unsure of whether you actually have a right to work in the UK. And then I replied to them and I said, well, I do have the right to work in the UK. And then I explained how I have a student visa that covers my year in industry, because I think their confusion was whether or not my visa will allow me to work for a year. So I clarified that, sent them all the details, all the share codes that they required. And then they got back to me again, January, I think. And then they said, okay, we'll take you to the next stage, which was a pre-screening interview. It didn't get into details. It was like a 15 minutes interview where they just wanted to know who it is that talking to, what I do, what I like to do, my hobbies and that. And then after the pre-screen interview, and after a couple of weeks, they did get back to me to say, now you've advanced to the final stage interview, which will be 1 hour long. In it, I was required to do research about the housing situation in the UK, about how good the insulation and the properties in the UK are, and whether or not they're suitable to use heat pumps, which are sort of like a heating technology that's used. So I prepared a 20 minutes presentation on that, just explaining to them how the housing in the UK is. I did a lot of research. I included all the references. And then after the presentation, they asked me questions related to the presentation. So that was like the first half of the interview. And for the second half, they just asked the normal HR questions that they ask: what would you do in this situation? The most
yeah,
challenging thing you've done, customer service, just the normal HR things
yeah.
they ask. So yeah, that was the second bit. And then after that, around April, they got back to me and said, you've got the role. So yeah, that was the journey that I
Oh,
went
that
through.
was great. Yeah.
Yeah.
An hour-long presentation. Hey,
Yeah.
I guess I
So
would have survived.
yeah.
So what was the hardest part of applying? Because a lot of people say rejection is like you get rejected a lot more than you actually get
Yeah.
responses. So how did you deal with
Mhm.
rejection um, during
Um,
the process?
yeah, I think for me, I mean, rejection hurts. It always hurts. And for me, what hurt me even more is that I'm getting all these rejections, but the time that I'm putting in, the time that I'm sacrificing, that I could be using to study for my other modules, the time that I could be using for my project, I'm actually putting in time. And then after putting in all this effort at the end, they don't. Some of them don't reply. They just
Yeah.
keep quiet. Some of them do reply and don't give you a reason. They just
Mm,
reply and say, "Well, you've been
you're doing a
rejected."
good
And
job.
yeah, so rejection, I think what you need to do is just delete the email. If they reject you, you're not taking anything further from there.
Yeah.
Or if you are really interested in finding out why they rejected you, get back to them and say, are you able to provide feedback on these? I did reach out to some, but they take a long time to respond because they say we can't now prioritize giving you feedback when you're not pursuing this further. We will now complete all the application process for everyone else and then get back to you on that. So yeah, I just try to forget about the rejection. That's how I dealt with the
Yeah, try to
rejection.
move on
So
from that one role and, try to
yeah,
make it. Yeah, don't feel too bad about it. Just keep moving.
yeah, just
Okay.
just learn from it. If they've provided you feedback, learn from it. Yeah,
Yeah. So,
yeah.
how did you manage your time between your academics, applications, work, personal life? Because I know, like, applying to placements sometimes it could take hours to tailor your CV to one specific role. So, how did you balance all
Yeah.
that?
Um, so like I said, that I put so much time into it. I actually planned the time. I think planning to actually do it, not just saying, oh, there's a post that's up, and then you start doing it without planning for it. Um, I I would set aside, let's say I set aside a day. Let's say, okay, on a Saturday, this whole day, I'm either gonna be um doing looking for new roles to apply for, or continue from applications that I had already started. So I think the only way to manage this is to plan it, because otherwise time just, you don't know what happens to the time if you don't have it in your diary to say, oh, actually I blocked out 4 hours for today to just focus on applications. Just note it down somewhere, plan for it.
Okay.
Yeah.
So once you got the job, what was DTF's role and everything?
Um, yeah, so the process with DTF is straightforward, really. After you get the a job offer, you just need to send an email to DTF to say, I will now be going to placement at this place, and you need to send them your contract from your company, and you also need to send them a letter from the university that acknowledges that you will not be in university for a year, because otherwise it will be tricky. It will be difficult for detail to support you when they don't really know where the school stands with you going away. So the school sort of needs to sign off on it before
Mm,
detail can say you can go ahead with it. So yeah, the process was quick. I just sent them all the information they required, and then they got back to me. This was in 2024, around June. They got back to me to say, okay, yeah, we'll continue supporting you with anything that you need while you're on placement. We are aware that you are no longer in Manchester. You have now relocated towards that. If you need anything, get in touch with us. And then at the end of it all, it's just the same process. You talk to the company, they need to send out a letter to say this person has successfully completed their placement. Then you send that to DTEV, and then get another letter from the university that says, oh, this person has now completed their placement and will now be progressing onto the third year. Because at the end, it's important for DTEV to know whether or not you will now be progressing. So they need to know your state of progression. Even though
mm,
there are no results to send, they do need to get that confirmation from university. So it's just a matter of communicating with them, and then yeah, anything you need, they'll be able to help.
okay. I'm glad the process is quick.
Yeah.
So once you got the job, like you've left school, what did your typical day look like?
You mean during
Yeah,
placement?
when
One
you're
second,
working.
yeah. Yeah, so I was lucky enough to work in a place which had flexible working hours, which
Mm-hmm.
just meant you your contract says you work from 8 till 5, but what it really means is you need to work 8 hours a day with one hour lunch. How you rearrange these, they don't really control you in that. They don't tell you when to have your lunch. They don't tell you when to start. You can, even though the contract says 8 to 5, if you start at 9, just finish it later than the time you would have finished that. So just always make sure you work your hours. So um yeah, I try to start at the contracted time. So I would start at 8. We have meetings at 9 every morning where we just catch up. It's called a whiteboard. Catch up on the work we've done yesterday or the work we've done the previous week, and the work we will be doing the rest of the week, and the work we'll be doing that day. This is just so they can know what to support you with, because if you have so many projects on your pipeline and you can't make the deadline, they need to be made aware. So those meetings were for that, to just catch up to see where you are. And then during the rest of the day, really what I would do is just do hydraulic heating schematics for heat pumps. We did these as a design service that we offer to installers. Usually in the UK, people install boilers for their heating, but now with the UK moving towards a net zero carbon emission, um, people are trying to use greener technology, and heat pumps are one of those greener technologies to use. So not many people know how to install them. So my role was to draw it up for them, show them how to connect it, show them how to wire all the electrical components in the heat pump system. So I would do schematics, and I would also do sizing, heat pump sizing for the installers, just giving them an estimated heat loss. So a typical 3 bedroom house, I would just do measurements on it, draw around it, see how old the property is, because that also affects how much heat is lost from a property. So that's what I did on a day-to-day basis, calling customers, checking with them what it is they want in that specific system. And then apart from that, I did have some project that I was involved in outside of my department. I did get involved with people who were in a department called product management. That are responsible for every product that's being launched or that's being released, every heat pump that's been released. So that was a good experience to see the company in a broader way rather than just being in your department every day and just drawing
Mhm.
schematics every day. So yeah, that was my day to day at work.
So, just off topic. So, do you enjoy the work, and do you see yourself doing it after university, or you'd want to try something new?
I did enjoy it, especially because this is something new. So just learning about new stuff and trying to solve new problems. It just fascinates me to say, oh, you can actually do this with heat pumps, and you can try to incorporate them into the UK's housing stock. So this is something that I would be happy to pursue further, especially in that role where I was dealing with customers. Because when you deal with customers, that's when you realize that in engineering is not just, because from university you just do engineering in a lab or in a classroom or in a lecture room, but in the real world, when you actually talk to people, when I actually called people, I actually enjoyed that. So that's something that I would pursue further.
Oh, that's great. I'm
Yeah.
glad you got the experience, like the actual practical experience, instead of just like keeping
Mhm.
yourself in the lab. So
Yeah.
what was the biggest, how was your transition from uni to work? Because I know uni, if you don't have classes that day, you don't have to go to school, but work nine,
Yeah.
8 to 5 every single day. So how was that transition?
Yeah. I would say uni is less structured in the sense that you just need to get the job done, and you need to pass your exams. That's what uni is about. But
Mm-hmm.
with being on placements, it's different. It's about getting the job done, but getting it done at specific times. So that change at the start, obviously, I had to adapt to say, okay, I need to now know that when it's time to work, it's time to work, and then at the end, when I go home, no more work. So I did try to, obviously I had I would say mentors or managers who I talked to say, hey, I've been in university. It just, what advices would you give me? And they would say, just try to get into a schedule, because they understood that even though like I said, that it is a flexible working environment, if you get it into your head that it's just flexible, I can come in at 8:30 one day, come in at 9 the other day, you lose that rhythm, you lose that schedule. So they just said, even though it's flexible, try to have a schedule and stick to it. So that was just how I managed the transition, really.
So what are the two biggest lessons you learned while working?
The first one I would say, always ask questions, because in this field of engineering, or in the specific field of heating systems and heat pumps, things can go wrong, and it's always it's always best to ask questions at the start, rather than make assumptions and then continue. Maybe you're doing a design or you're doing a schematic and just assume, oh, this is what they want, and then go all the way, and then find out at the end that's not what they want. Now you have to restart the whole thing. So ask questions, no matter how dumb you think they are. Just ask them. It's better to be on the safer side. Just always ask, whether it's customers, whether it's colleagues, ask questions. That's how you grow. The second lesson that I would say I learned is, whenever there's an opportunity to upskill, use it, because just because you got that placement role, that's not where it ends. There's still a career ahead of you. So when I was there, whenever an opportunity arises to say, uh, do you want to get involved in this outside of the department, I will be the first to say yes, because I'm looking at upskilling outside of my day to day. So if job shadowing opportunities arise, at other departments in the company, take them. If you get a chance to go or out on site surveys, even if you're not actually going to be doing anything in the site survey, just observing, it helps you to just build those skills and slowly upscale because, like I say, there's still a career, there's still a future ahead, so it doesn't end there. So yeah, those are the two things that I learned.
Okay, yeah, that's good. So how competitive is the job market right now? Not necessarily placements, but from your experience, what you've seen, how bad is it basically?
I would say it's really competitive because good grades, like I said earlier on, good grades are not enough. Really,
Mm,
they're not gonna. They may help you get somewhere, but they're not gonna open all the doors. So it's a situation, it's an environment where you always have to offer something more than the grades because you can say, oh, okay, I got all these good grades. They will always want to know, and then what? I got these grades, but what
mm,
else can you? Because there are so many people who can bring the same grades or
yeah,
even better. So you always have to. The reason why I'm saying it's competitive because when you always have to show that you bring something unique, or you have to bring something that like you did from your own initiative. So you need to offer more than just good grades. So it's a really competitive
yeah,
market.
very competitive.
Yeah.
So what was your proudest accomplishment during your placement or even as a student?
Yeah, my proudest achievement from my placement, like I said earlier on, that I was a good percentage of my job role involved doing schematics. Um, I got involved in doing these schematics for about 6 months, and then at the end of it all, they were all the schematics that I've compiled were all put online for everyone to access, and that was a big step for me. That was a big achievement because now my work is out there and people can access it because it's on the company website. When someone searches Worcester heat pump schematics, my work shows up. So I would say that was the proudest achievement that I had.
That's so cool.
Yeah.
So what are your plans after graduating? I know you said you had 2 more years, but have you thought about it?
I have thought about it. I will continue thinking about it. I don't have a fixed decision that I've taken now. It's
Mm-hmm.
something that I'm exploring as time goes by. But definitely be looking to go into industry. The question about where in industry, maybe that one is not that clear. But one thing that I have a bit clarity on right now is after doing this placement, I would want to go into industry, not necessarily the same industry, but going
Mm.
into industry as a whole. So yeah, those are my plans. Just going into industry. Yeah, I won't be pursuing academics any further. I don't think.
That is so valid. So your course is like bachelor's and master's together.
Yeah, it's an integrated master's, so
Okay.
it's both
Okay,
bachelor's and master's.
that's fair.
Yeah.
And you would say that's like better than just doing a bachelor's. Like getting a master's degree would definitely put you, definitely make you more competitive, in the job market, or it's just like doesn't matter.
Um, the thing with masters, it depends on one which industry you're going into and
Mm,
what are your plans for your career. That it's not a must have. It's a
mm-hmm,
thing where I looked at it at the start and said it would be better for me to just get the whole package done
mm,
rather than doing one now and another later. So I just thought of it as a better packaged deal. But um, I wouldn't say the must have, but if you want to have it, then I think there are some instances where it will be you will have the upper hand because of it, but not always. It's not something that I don't think it's something that employers look at and say
mm,
you don't have a master's, you can't get this. But yeah, I just got it because of it. It was a better deal for me.
yeah. So,
Yeah.
what are some unexpected career opportunities that not everybody knows about, but are kind of lucrative and
Yeah, I would say because I don't know what people know about, but I would say what I didn't know about before going into industry. I think I
Yeah.
mentioned this earlier. Product management in engineering.
Mm-hmm.
I think yeah, that's one of the sectors of engineering that I think um are still growing,
Mm.
or in my opinion, are maybe, how can I say it? Because
Underrated.
I Yeah, because I didn't see it as an option at all when I
Mm.
started, and then when I got in there and I actually interacted with people who did engineering degrees and are now in product management, and I realized, oh, you can do an engineering degree and then go to a company and your sole focus is just to focus on one product and manage it. So I would say, yeah, product management.
Okay. So if you were to go back to first year, what would you do differently in terms of
Uh,
looking for
yeah,
placements or even just like socially joining activity societies? I don't know, keeping fit, diet, mental health. Like, what would you do differently?
it's being involved in more extracurricular activities,
Mm,
because from what I mentioned about my CV earlier on, and trying not to include things from high school, trying to include recent things. When I got to that part about extracurricular activities, I just put the only thing from university that I put was that I'm a member of the Robotics Society. And to be honest, I was just a member and I wasn't that active in the society. And then everything else that I put in that section of the CV were things that I did in high school. So
mm,
I think one thing that I would do better if I would go back was to just put myself out there more, be involved in more things in university, not just put in things that I did 5 years ago in high school. So yeah.
yeah. So when you start working, would you consider going back to Botswana? And if you would, like, what are the steps that you have to take to transition going back home?
I mean, it's always an option to go
Yeah.
home. That's an option that I keep open. I wouldn't just completely dismiss it. Um, I would, if an opportunity arises back at home, I would definitely take it. But in terms of the steps involved, I think once you're done with your degree and you've notified the embassy in detail that you're done, they will obviously organize for you to go back home. But in terms of any registrations that you need to do, I think if you're doing an engineering degree, you have in Botswana, you have to be registered with the ERB, the Engineering Registration Board. So those are the steps that I am currently aware of. I don't know if there's anything more that will need to be done.
Okay. The
Yeah.
rest of the questions I have is for if you were to work in Botswana or you had a plan. But since you're still in school, we can just scrap that.
Yeah.
But thank you so much for
I
volunteering
know.
to speak to me. Like, I really appreciate it.
No problem at
But
all.
like, I'll give you like maybe 2 minutes if you want to say something extra. If I skip something important, yeah.
Uh, no, I think you've covered all the bases. I think,
Okay.
yeah,
Good. Yeah.
yeah.
Okay. Thank you so much.